Alright, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the new After Dark in the Sack with JT horror podcast. Now, this episode is going to probably be out before episode 1 because I accidentally hit stop record halfway in, and yes, JT is actually editing for once. The world is fucking ending, isn't it? So, basically, a few things led to deciding to start doing these, and the main reason was I had an absolute painful migraine all night. It's still bad, it's not as bad, but I was trying to watch Puppet Master, the Littlest Reich, the newest one, and man, I couldn't. Like, with my headache, it was pounding. The movie started to suck halfway in, and I said, I can't sit up right now. I gotta lay down. And I still had some movies I wanted to watch. So the fact that, shout out to Professor Macabro, a subscriber of mine, fellow content creator. If you don't know his channel, please go and subscribe to Professor Macabro. I'll put it in the description. But he sometimes has said to me that he loves my long discussion videos because he can listen to it on the way to work and at work and stuff like that. And I had a few other people have told me that, and I used to do the same thing when I would watch like podcasts or YouTube channels, videos. So, I mean, the things I'm saying is the most important thing. But yeah, I'm thinking of doing this maybe once a week, twice a week tops maybe, and just started another new thing, new idea for the channel. And it also ties in with the fact that YouTube just started a podcast thing in YouTube Studio that you could create your own podcast. So I'm interested to see how that works, and those are all what led us to this. So episode 1 is Lucio Fulci's Manhattan Baby. I will have that up probably tonight, just so, or tomorrow night, I should say, so it gives it time to edit the two sections together, two videos together, because it takes so fucking long to do. But this one, we're going to be talking in episode 2 about the movie Splinter from 2008. Now, this is a very fun little movie. It's short, only an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 22 minutes. I didn't know it was this short, but I've seen this a few times, and I love the hell out of this movie. It's directed by Toby Wilkins. I'm not sure by name of anything else that he's done, but we basically have this couple, and they're driving along this road, going on some type of road trip, and they end up getting carjacked or taken hostage by these two criminals, a criminal couple, and they end up going to this gas station to try to find directions, and he's on the run, one of the two criminals, and they end up finding a parasite type of monster, and it turns people into like porcupine zombies. It's a very unique movie, and there's some great effects work here, great practical effects. So let's talk about this movie from 2008. Yeah, that's right, I said 2008. 2008's Splinter. So probably we'll have a few special guests on for this episode. If this does come out before the first one, you're not going to know what that means, but let's just say I had Bob Marley's ghost, the ghost of George Harrison from the Beatles, and Jennifer Lopez as guests quickly on episode 1. And pretty sure that I'll probably have some others creep in on every episode here. So when I do these, I'm going to probably do them like maybe on a late Saturday night, and if the response to it is good, maybe a late Sunday night also, so on the weekends. And basically means that I'm probably going to knock out a few episodes, 2 or 3 episodes per night on the weekends. pretty much what I'd normally be doing after I do my videos for the night, and I just lay down and watch some more movies until I fall asleep. So this is very easy to do. I'm laying down. That's why you're in the sack after dark with JT, and yeah, that way I can get some more content out to you guys, and I can start covering more movies, which is always a good thing, being able to talk about as many movies as possible. So let's talk again. Starting our talk with Splinter from the great year of 2008. Man, I missed the late 2000s. That was some of the happiest times for me. Like college for the first year and a half till I dropped out, and just so many concerts, like crazy amounts of concerts. Like I must have been to, no hyperbole, like 1,000 shows in my life. Like I used to go from like 2007 to 2011, 2012, 13ish, to like one or two shows a week. And I've seen my favorite live band, the Disco Biscuits, 115 times. I've seen Fish 60 something times. The same with the Grateful Dead, all the different incarnations of them. So I mean, there's 300 shows or so right there, and that's just 3 bands. So I definitely have been to a shitload of concerts. But 2008, great year. Wish we had a time machine to go back machine. So I like the way this movie starts off with a little bit of intrigue here. That we have this guy, and he sees an animal, looks like a dog, and he ends up saying, "No, get out of here, I don't have any food for you." And then this thing just attacks him and starts biting the fuck out of him. And he has these spiky quills almost coming out of him. They, hence the name. I mean, they look like splinters that are coming out of this organism that takes over humans and animals. And then we get the title card Splinter with a whole bunch of those spiky quills in the background on the title card. Really cool opening. So we have our main couple here who are going camping. That's where they're going. And they find a nice camping spot and everything. They're going to get ready for a nice weekend of camping. And then we see our criminal couple, and their car is broken down. And they seem to be on the run. And we know that a little later on we find out that the girlfriend criminal is a meth head. And it pretty much fucks with her mental state a decent amount and leads to her death a little later on. Because they're planning on going to Mexico. And these people really don't know how to put a fucking tent together. There's 2 of them. And they can't put this smallest tent together. That's hilarious. So, the boyfriend, this is their anniversary, and he is not a camping guy. So he keeps making jokes about, it would be great being at a motel, and he says a line, the girlfriend says a line to him, or I guess I should say wife, says an important line to him that he ends up throwing back, using later, saying, you have to know be smarter than what you're working against. And that comes into play a little bit later. And he's like a biology major in school or something like that. Something to do with science. I'm pretty sure biology, because he kind of, when they end up coming across this creature at the gas station, this organism, he knows what he's looking at. So I'm pretty sure biology, I want to say, that he's a major in. And I love her line when they're trying to put the tent together, and she just says, "Honey, we can't let this tent beat us." Just something about the way she says it, their delivery of it. It's a funny line. But they do indeed let the tent beat them. They end up packing back up and going to a motel. Or heading to a motel, I should say. So Lacey and Dee are our criminal couple here. And they end up throwing most of their stuff, like their bag that has a lot of their stuff in it, into the woods, and he's telling Lacey just to hold on a little bit longer, we're almost fucking there. And they end up walking down the road, which is where they're going to run into our Nice married couple. I like how I forgot if they're married or not. I mean, because I just remembered anniversary could still be just boyfriend and girlfriend your anniversary. I'm pretty sure they might be married though. So I like how he has like a big thing for nature, reading about nature, but as his girlfriend says, he's not. He doesn't like spending time in nature, so he's able to tell how old trees are, and he's very good at it. They're driving, and she sees a tree and says, "Oh, look at that one. That's got to be like 400 years old. That's an old tree." And he corrects her, says, "It is an old tree. I'd say closer to 100 or 200." So, is he correct? Let's bring our guest Arnold Schwarzenegger on to let us know if he's correct on this, because he spent a lot of time around nature and stuff in Predator and some other movies of his. Arnold, how you doing?
Hello, JT. I am doing good.
Awesome, great to hear, Arnold. So, is he correct about the age of the tree?
Yes.
All right, nice, short, and sweet. Thank you so much for your help.
Anytime. I got to get to the chopper.
All right, Arnie, you take care now. So, yeah, it sounds like he knows what he's talking about. This is a 400-year-old tree. So, and she says, if you read, if you stayed in nature as much as you read about it, we'd be looking at the stars tonight. And really keeps like laying it in on him about his decision to go to a motel for the night. And right when they're pulled over, they see Lacey in the middle of the road, so they stop. Then D shows up on the driver's side window and shows his gun and says, "Get the fuck out of the car." I love the actor who plays D in this. I can't think of his name. I might have seen him in another thing or two, but I love his performance in this. All the actors in this movie do a very good job. So Seth, the boyfriend, that's his name. D tells him to get in the back seat with him, and Lacey's sitting up front with. Didn't get her name yet. I can't believe I can't remember her name. I really like her character. And he's going through their wallets. And Seth's trying to not comply at first, but she keeps telling him, just fucking listen to him, just give him your wallet. And I like how he pulls out cash, and he's like, "Oh, it's only $5." It's like, does anybody use cash anymore? I like that. And yeah, it is biology. He has a PhD in biology. And as soon as he says that, Lacey turns around and says, "You're a doctor?" Like, he's like, "Well, not yet." And he's like, "Well, you can write scripts though, right?" Like, a total drug addict. I remember that she's a meth user. I also like how D wanted Seth to drive at first, and he says that he doesn't know how to drive stick. So he says, "Oh, god damn it," and he makes the girl drive. A funny line. D's like, but he said that it's not his car. D says, "You suffer from a severe case of CDS. Can't do shit." It's a funny line. And they end up hitting something while driving down the road at night. They don't know what it is. And so now we're going to have some ads brought to us from our sponsors. And I believe we just got word it's going to be told and given to us by Meatwad from the Adult Swim show Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Meatwad, what do you got for us?
Well, if you like cars and you want to have a good time, you're going to want to get the new Genesis. It looks like a really nice car, and everything that I gotta do, even though I can't drive, I can bring my puppy with me. Yep, I can bring my puppy, and I'm gonna name him Ham Banana. Come here, Ham Banana.
Alright, Meatwad, thank you. So you heard him. If you want a nice new car, go with Genesis. So Lacey and Seth go to look for what they possibly could have hit. And D is looking under the tire of the car, and there's a bunch of those Splinter quill spikes in the car. And he accidentally pokes his finger with it. And I guess gets a splinter. Yeah, we have fun here too. And this is obviously going to lead to him becoming infected by this organism a little later on in a brutal scene in how they try to stop him from being taken over. So, a cool scene here is when Seth and Lacey are looking for what they hit, and they end up seeing some animal. And Lacey, I think she's like tweaked out on the meth for like days now or something, and she doesn't have any, so she's going into withdrawals, and that's why she asked him about the scripts. And she ends up looking at him and thinking this animal is her pet Ginger, which it's not. And she's talking to it like it's alive still, and it kind of is, because then Seth bends down and starts looking at it, and we start seeing the splinters coming out of it, and then the body starts moving a bit, which freaks Lacey out, and she goes running into the car and saying, like, we gotta get the fuck out of here, and Dee doesn't know what's going on, and at first he says, like, did he mess with you? And she's like, just get in the car, and they were about to drive off. They're saying, drive, and she's like, I'm not leaving, Seth. And he ends up getting back in the car, too, and they take off. And she's saying, speed up, like, go faster. She's saying, I'll blow a hole in you to, I want to say Polly is the girl's name. I'm pretty sure it might be Polly. Like Kurt Cobain in Nirvana. Polly wants a cracker. Maybe we'll have his ghost on sometime. But she even turns the gun on Dee, on her boyfriend. And he's saying, like, alright, Lacey, calm down. Tell me what happened back there. And she starts saying that it was Ginger, and she tried attacking me. And he says that wasn't Ginger, babe. Like, that was just some critter that we hit crossing the road. Also, does anyone else can't, like, hate when this happens in movies, because when Lacey was with Seth looking at quote-unquote Ginger, she's pointing the gun at his head saying, do something, fix her. Obviously he doesn't know what the hell's wrong and doesn't know what he's doing. He can't. I hate that in movies, when, like, people, bank robbers or people who, like, take people hostage or force them by gunpoint to do something that they have no idea how to do. Like, come on, man. It's like putting a gun to a paraplegic's head in a wheelchair and saying, you better get up and walk across this lawn now or you're dead. It's like, that's not fair. Like, they can't walk. So of course they're not going to be able to do it. Like, it's like these fuckers know that these people, the request that they're asking, that they don't know how to do it, and they're not going to be able to get it done. You see this in so many movies. It's very frustrating, and if it ever happened to me in person, God forbid, I would be so fucking pissed off just having to be in that situation and having myself yelled at by some prick or prickette with a gun telling me to do something that I have no clue how to do. Like, the internet's down. You better write a new code and get a new internet up and going in the next 24 hours, or I will blow your fucking head off. It's like, well, that's never going to happen, so you might as well just shoot me now, because I have no idea how to do that. Oh, that's such a pet peeve of mine in movies. And this is when we find out that she's a meth head, because Dee ends up asking her, after she's going crazy, talking about all this crazy shit, saying, Lace, when's the last time you had a hit? And saying, like, I know when I would come off tweaking, like, I'd see shit that would blow your mind. And she's saying, like, I'm not seeing shit. Like, I haven't had a hit since the day before yesterday. So, he thinks she's tweaking or coming down from it. And she definitely did see it. And that's another pet peeve of mine in movies, is when someone is so adamant saying that they saw something and they know what they saw, and no one believes them. I mean, this isn't too far-fetched. It's not like, saw an alien or a zombie rise from the grave, or like, you know what I mean? Like something, like, insanely absurd and unlikely. All she said was that the thing they hit tried attacking her with its tail. That's not too out there. So, like, for things like that aren't too out there, and are definitely possible. I can't stand that. I really cannot stand when that happens. So they end up their car ends up overheating. So they stop at this gas station, which is where the rest of this movie takes place, and she goes to the bathroom, Lacey, and he ends up telling her, D, saying like, "Please, are you going in there to get high, basically?" And he's saying like, "I can't have you cockeyed right now. Like we have work to do. I can't have you cockeyed like this." And she gets pissed off and says, "I'm not doing anything." And she has to go to the bathroom. And she walks away, and she's pretty fucking pissed. I love the line from D to Seth when he says, "Please tell me you know how to pump gas," because he's a CDS, can't do shit. That's the funny line. None of them think it's a little weird that there's nobody working at this gas station, that it's completely empty. I don't know. I don't know where this takes place. It seems like it's in the middle of the country somewhere, but that's a little strange. Like, I would at least be a little suspect that something's not right. I love when Lacey. It seems like she took a while before she went into the bathroom. Like, it's been like 2 minutes since she said she was going in and had that argument with Dee. But she goes to try to open the door and she can't. And she ends up pushing it open a little bit and sees the gas station attendant's body on the ground, just covered in this organism with the spikes coming out of him. And it starts getting up and moving like a zombie, kind of. And Lacey comes out and is screaming at Dee, saying like, "Dee, like, I saw a guy with spikes." And it does sound like something somebody tweaking would say. And he ends up saying, "A man with spikes." And she's like, "I know what you think. Like, I'm not high or anything. Like, it's in the bathroom. There's a man with spikes." So I love how this creature, this body, it's taken over by this organism, how it's shot and how it moves. Like, all the limbs are like snapping and breaking into positions they shouldn't be, like his legs and his arms. Like, it's really cool how they did it. And the sound design is great, like hearing the bones snapping and stuff as they're twisting and turning as he's walking. Really, really cool. And then he ends up making contact with Lacey, like knocking her over or something, and she falls onto the floor outside the gas station, and the three of them go inside, and D ain't having it. He's freaking out that Lacey's lying on the ground out there, and he pulls a gun on them and says, like, "Yo, you bet, like, go out there, we're getting her." And they think it's a lot safer inside, and I agree. It's a tense scene afterwards when they're in the gas station, and D is saying that he has to go out and get her, and she starts calling the cops. And he says to her, "What are you doing?" And she's saying, "We're calling for help," and he grabs the phone and smashes it on the ground, breaks it. And he's like, he's like, "Don't think what's happening out there changes who we are in here." And he's like, "I could have killed you both. I didn't." And she's like, "Yeah, we saw how that worked out for you." Man, she got balls saying that to a guy with a gun like that, this crazy dude. And he just socks her one, and she falls to the ground. And Seth goes and takes care of her. Tense scene, though. And then he gets a free pack of cigarettes because no one's at this gas station. That's how you get free cigarettes. No one's there. You're in a situation like this. Just get a bag and knock all the packs of cigarettes on into the bag. Just go sell them at half price on the corner in the city. And then, really cool, Lacey starts coming back alive, like, due to the organism. And Dee's looking out the door and saying, like, "No, look, she's alive." Like, and he's saying, Seth's telling him, "No, it's not her anymore. And, leave it alone. We can't open the door. It'll get in." And D ain't having it. Like, this is his girl. So he says, like, "I'm going to go out there and shut the door right after you go out. You get her, and we'll open the door, and you bring her right back in." And, I mean, D is taking the chance, trusting them. But they seem like decent people. It doesn't seem like that Seth would lie like that. So he promises him that he'll let him back in with Lacey if he can get her. And all the effects on Lacey's corpse, the guy from earlier, the gas station attendant, all of the effects with the spikes and needles coming out of them, the effects work, like I said, is excellent in this. It looks so good. I love the way that they did the effects. I love the way that they shoot all the scenes with the, for lack of a better term, zombies, spiky zombies. The way they shoot them, like I said, the sound design, all of it is so good in this movie. And this is a movie I don't hear talked about often. And like how they were able to make the spikes grow like really fast, like out of the bodies, that looks really cool too. Like the spikes are just sticking out a little bit and then they start coming out further and further. I love that, the way that they handled that too. So he's outside talking to Lacey, saying like, "Well, I'm gonna bring you inside. Like you're all right." And I love the line from the girl, Polly, if that is her true name. How she says like, "Oh man, like she's dead. Is he's completely insane." It is Polly. See, I thought it was Polly. So me and the ghost of Kurt Cobain were correct on that. And again, balls on Polly. She is ready to just leave him outside. She locked the door, and he is flipping. And Seth and her are fighting. Seth saying, "Just open the door." Like, "Polly, open the fucking door." And he holds his gun up to the door. He's about to shoot her. He's like, "All right, 1, 2," and then Seth comes around and opens it. And right when he opens it, Lacey's body ends up coming back to life and grabs him by the leg, and he's able to get inside in time when Seth opens the door. And when it slams shut, it cuts her hand off, and then the hand, we have like an Evil Dead moment, homage here, with her hand walking around on its own. And it looks really cool how they pulled that off too. And Seth gets down and starts looking at it because, again, he's a biology, he has a PhD in, and he's saying it's the hand, like, "Look at it, it's following me." And he ends up saying that it's metabolizing, and that it's kind of like a mold, that it's extracting the nutrients on a cellular level. So it's really interesting. I don't know scientifically if this would ever work, if this would be a thing, if something like this would exist, but it's a great concept. And I don't know if this all makes sense, but I was going to have Neil deGrasse Tyson on to explain whether this could be scientifically accurate. But unfortunately, he last minute had to cancel. He's very busy talking about space and shit for hours on end. And who knows, maybe I'll get him on another time. But I'm going to assume that in the universe that this movie takes place, that it is pretty much scientifically accurate. The things that Seth is observing here and talking about this organism. And, yeah, great idea. Might have said all that twice. If not, I'm very nice. I love how Lacey's corpse like gets up and starts smashing itself against the door, and her blood is like getting stained on the door and everything. And Dee's going up and looking at her and like reaching out at the door, and Seth's like, "Come on, man! Like it's not her anymore." But really cool again how they make the bodies move around. Actually, I wonder who did the effects for this movie. I had to look into that. And now, a few words from our sponsors, again, from our friend Meatwad from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
If you guys need babysitters for your children, you're going to want to go to care.com. If you go to care.com, you can find babysitters that are vetted and that will take care of your kids forever and ever, as long as you need them to.
Thanks, Meatwad. So Seth is looking for the keys to the store and can't find them anywhere. And then Dee and Polly are at the back door, and Dee ends up saying, "Get a screwdriver and you can knock the screws out of the hinges, take the door off that way." And then Dee is very affected. You could tell by this, like he's in his own world, saying that they were going to go to Mexico, him and Lacey, and that they wanted a baby. I mean, kind of feel bad for him, except for the fact that he's, a fucking criminal, possible murderer that I forget if we find out later, and a hostage taker, and a complete asshole. But you kind of feel bad for him and losing Lacey like that. So they end up getting the door off the hinges, and there's a barred door behind it. So they're pissed. They're like, fuck. And then I love how they end up hearing Seth says that it's on the roof. So this creature made its way up onto the roof of the gas station, and he ends up, D puts the door right back on, and then puts a 2x4 to keep it like reinforced a little bit. Really cool. And that is when the cop or the sheriff deputy shows up, the female. It's a state trooper, she is. And she says that every state trooper in the state are pretty much is looking for D, this guy. And that they all know what he's like, and they'll all be willing to take him in. And the other two, Polly and Seth, are trying to tell her, like, that he's screaming through between the door of the place, saying, there's something out there, like, you're not safe, like, you have to get back into your car. And we get a great scene coming up. I love this when the creature, Lacey's body, is on the roof, and the sheriff, or state trooper, I mean, is, at the front door, and blood starts dripping onto her, and she wipes it off. She sees the blood, Lacey's blood on the door, too, and she looks up, and then you just see Lacey's body's legs come down and wrap around the state trooper's body and starts squeezing it and starts lifting it up into the air until it squeezes it and like severs it with the spikes so much that her body rips in half, and it looks great. Like her bottom half falls to the ground and it takes the upper half up onto the roof with it. Like that looks so cool. The effects look fantastic there. Such good practical effects in this movie, and it's never, like I said, brought up really. I never hear people talking about this movie, and they definitely should be, and especially the effects work. And then the creature in Lacey's body ends up it has like tentacles kind of, and they end up dragging the top half of the state trooper over to it and kind of like sews the top half of her body onto the remains of Lacey's body. I love it. I like how Dee keeps calling Polly she's a firecracker, and said that Lacey was the same way. He says it a few times while they're trying to think of a plan. I love that. He's like, you got a firecracker to Seth. Like, Lacey was just like that, because she's like the man of the relationship, is what he's trying to say, and it's hilarious. So they're trying to figure out what to do here, how to get the hell out of this place without getting killed and turned to a spiky zombie. And Seth starts thinking that the state trooper here said that they were looking for D, and that she was going to call every state trooper, sounded like there was a manhunt for him. And Dee said, no, there's not here. There might be one soon down south. Because he said, you're right, you're going to Mexico. And it was all a trick. He wasn't going to Mexico. He was going up to Canada. So, nobody's coming. So they're stuck here. And they're thinking about maybe starting a fire in the woods right behind the place, and maybe get him get attracted to the fire, and they can escape that way. So they're brainstorming on all these ideas. What would you guys do? 3 people in a gas station that's abandoned, and there is a fungus or mold type organism that turns you into a zombie. What would you do? So, we know their plan for the state trooper ain't working because no one called it in. We know that the fire ain't working because it ends up just not working out that way in a few minutes when they attempt it. So I really want to know, what would you guys do in this situation? How would you try getting out of this gas station without getting killed? Now, the plan that they come up with is pretty smart. They're going to get a hanger or something that they can reach the state trooper's radio, because her lower half of her body is right outside the window with a little cutout on the bottom so you can slide cigarettes and change and stuff through. So they're going to try to grab the radio, and hopefully they'll be able to call for help. Not a bad plan. Like, at this point, I don't think D cares if he gets arrested for whatever crimes he committed. I think he just doesn't want to die this way, because it looks painful. And there's a lot of good tension in this scene. They have Seth controlling the hangar to try to get this radio, and at any second, this thing could jump out. So it's very tense. The director created really good suspense here, because he's trying to pick it up, and the hanger misses, and he tries to do it again, and misses again, and then again, and it's lifting it up a little bit, and it falls. It's it's paced very well. It's very good suspense. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happens. The spiked creature with the state trooper top and the lacy bottom jumps down and struggles over the radio, and then starts sticking his hand through the change dispenser hole in the window, and Polly, always the one to be right on it, takes something and starts smashing the arm and the hand of this creature like over and over again, and his hand is stuck in the window, and that plan did not go well. So, Meatwad, give us the plug.
Alright guys, so let's understand this. If you want to get a good electric car one day soon, don't. Why? Because electric cars are dumb. They don't work. Goodbye.
Alright, Meatwad. I don't know how accurate that is. I mean, a lot of people are swearing by electric cars as the years go on. Damn it, I wish I knew. Someone call Neil deGrasse Tyson. Call him. God damn it, he fucking fucked me. Canceling like this. Man, it's like, never get help these.
Wait a minute.
Alright, what, Meatwad?
If you want better internet, we're gonna go out and get optimum fiber. That's the one we all love. Alright, bye now.
Oh, Jesus, alright. So, now the creature ended up taking the lower half of the state trooper and disappeared again. So, now they're wondering where D is, because all this action and shit going on, D, like, hid somewhere else. And now they're starting to see, just like earlier, the arm that was stuck in the change window. They're going to start to see that they're going to get a second Evil Dead 2 homage. And it's going to start crawling around the gas station. And I love when she first sees it. When Polly first sees it, she's like, Seth. Like, Seth. and then he sees it. And it's just this hand with the spikes, porcupine quills coming out of it. And I love how it's not just the hand, but it's like also like up the arm a little bit also. It looks really cool, and then starts running after them like really fast. Like, it kind of almost looks like one of the hand creatures in Elden Ring, the game I challenge run on stream sometimes. Kind of looks like that, and they don't know what to do to stop this thing. So they take like a shelf from the freezer, like with the slots every few inches, and they hold it up like a grate to try to protect themselves from this severed hand. And actually, D comes to rescue them. He's in the freezer, and he opens it up and he says, "Make sure, watch the splinters. Make sure he doesn't stick you with them." So he knows, because he got pricked. He got pricked by them earlier in the movie at the very beginning when he touched the tire on the car and ended up getting stuck by the splinters that were in the wheel. I just love the whole concept of this movie, that it's basically a zombie film. But it's such a unique take on a zombie. Like, they never say the word zombie, obviously, or anything, because they're not really zombies. But if you think about it, it's this organism, this mold or fungus that Seth keeps guessing, and if it touches you, it'll absorb you, and then your body will be controlled by it. So it's like a parasite, but it's basically like if you get plicked by, why do I keep saying fucking plicked? It's not even a word. It's not even a goddamn word. If you get plucked by, or pricked, is what I want to say, by any of the splinters on whatever hosts that it's controlling, then you become infected and you become one. Just like if you get bit by a zombie, you become a zombie. It's a very cool way to look at this movie as as a zombie movie, but totally never been done before for like the concept of a zombie. And then he's looking. They're all in the freezer, and D has his arm covered up, and it's bleeding, and it looks so sick. You have the black, like his like arm is starting to get like black veins and like lines coming up. Like it looks really twisted. Like it looks really good. And then his hand starts like acting as separate from him, and his hand tries attacking him, like attacking them, and then he ends up snapping his arm backwards, like at the elbow, because the hand's like trying to get away and like attack them. Oh, that looks awesome. And what do you do in a zombie movie if you get bit on the arm or the leg? What we've seen it a lot more often in the last 30 years or so, but you try to cut it off, that appendage, to try to stop the infection. And it looks like that's what they're going to have to do here. I also love, I just thought of this, how it doesn't always work this way, but whatever is going on between a group of people, like arguing, fighting, ready to kill each other, all that, if once some bigger situation comes where your lives are at risk, or like your sanity or anything like that, it's amazing how people are, like, again, not always, but are able to kind of put things aside and take on the greater threat together. You see this in a lot of movies. Also, you see the lack of this in a lot of movies. But I like that. I mean, this fucking guy had a gun pointed at their face, like, the whole fucking movie. Like, took them hostage. Like, forced them to drive in their car. And yet they want him to live. Like, they want to help him. They don't want him to be infected. So they give him a box cutter, and he ends up slicing into his arm all the way 360 degrees around his arm. And, oh, it looks gnarly. And they don't have anything strong enough to cut through the bone. And this is the scene in this movie I love. This is my favorite scene in the movie. And the effects, and it looks great. What happens if you don't have a bone cutter or like a saw or something to cut through your bone, and you need that off? You're gonna have to break it. So he already cut all around the skin, around the bone, so his bone's exposed, and he has to put his arm leaning against something, and Seth finds a concrete block and lifts it over his head and smashes it down on his arm, on his bone, to break the bone off. Oh man, that has to hurt so bad. That looks gnarly though. Like, oh, I can't imagine. Actually, to picture how it imagines, let's bring on one of my guests, and I said this in my Day of the Dead video, since the first episode of the podcast, Bob Marley's ghost showed up, and he said he can't hang around anymore. I'm going to bring in the all-knowing Jamaican Prophet to see what he thinks and can describe to us it would feel like. Yes, Jamaican Prophet. Hello, JT. How you doing, man? How do you think how much it would hurt getting your bone snapped off to, like, cut your arm off? Oh, JT, you don't want to go thinking about those things, man. Those type of pains only could be in your mind. The pain from physical is in our minds. It stems to the minds, JT. You understand me, bro? You don't want to be thinking these evil things. Okay, Jamaican Prophet, could you just tell me what it would feel like, though? That would be great. Okay, I tell you, man. It would feel like 1,000,000-degree burns are cutting through your arm. It seemed like every negative, painful experience you've ever experienced in your life will just come upon you and all at once you'd feel the burning sensation, man, of these just despicable evil going through the universe and all of the energy connecting us, brother. And after a while, you will start to feel the burn of 1,000 suns, 1,000,000 to one, man. Okay, I'm just gonna have to stop you there. But thank you so much. I get it. It hurts like a bitch. The beach is right, man, is what it hurts like. Alright, thank you, Jamaican Prophet. Okay, JT, you have a good day, huh? I will, you too. Oh, goodbye, JT. Thanks, buddy. So, in a nutshell, sorry, he can talk a lot. It fucking hurts. So, they end up figuring out, Seth mostly, but figures out that the hand didn't follow them into the freezer. And then also notices that since it's trying to feed, or, basically feed, absorb nutrients and, assimilate with them, or any organism that it can, that he deduces that it hunts by heat, is how it sees and senses a new host to go to. So this is the only part of the movie that I think is really kind of stupid. I mean, so he ends up saying he's going to try to get to the car, and he's going to make himself colder than anything else around. It'll lower his body temperature, and they end up putting a whole bunch of ice packs all over him. Polly, D is, fucking like passed out or so unconscious or some shit. He just had his friggin' bone snapped off. Are you serious? And he says to bring his temperature down to like 93 degrees or 94. And he said as long as you don't get below 89 or something like that. And he carries like a bag or two of ice to the car when he goes out. Like this, all of this is so out. Like, I don't know, it's out there. It's really kind of dumb, but it is what it is. It doesn't like take me out of the movie or anything, but it's the scene I do not like out of this whole movie, which I adore most of it. Oh, D is awake now, and Seth went outside, and he's holding the ice bags, and he has the thermometer in his mouth to gauge his temperature. And they threw a flare outside, or a firecracker or something like that, that's going to keep burning. And since it'll produce more heat, that's their plan. That the thing will attack the firecrackers, and not him, while he can get to the car. And then bring it right to the door, and they can drive the fuck out of here. It's a good plan if it just wasn't ridiculous, like, scientifically. Like, don't they always say, like, body temperature normal is like 98.5? You can go down a few degrees, but then it gets real dangerous. So he said 89.5. You can't go below. Maybe, I don't know. But it seems a little far-fetched. Well, while we're waiting for this plan to run its course and see how it is, let's bring one last guest on. So this guy is so great. You probably know him from the A-Team.
First name Mr. Middle name
Okay.
period. Last name T.
Yes, all right, Mr. T. How you doing, Mr. T? So, what do you think of the whole dilemma I was talking about earlier about how you would still feel for D after being taken hostage by him, and still wanting him to live, so helping him and not letting him die? How do you think he's feeling right now? How do you feel for him?
Don't give me no back talk, sucker.
Whoa, well, I'm just asking a question. Calm down. So, again, how do you feel for this character here of D?
I pity the fool.
Alright, you pity the fool? Alright, you pity him. Okay, that sounds good. Not the answer I would have went with, but definitely something interesting.
Don't make me mad.
Calm down. I'm just trying to figure out here, like, where our opinions differ. Alright, I think as long as the show, I have every
Quit your
right.
jibber jabber.
Quit my jibber jabber. Listen, motherfucker, who you think you're talking?
Fool.
Shut up? Okay, I'm gonna have to ask.
Shut up,
I'm gonna ask.
fool.
Oh, now you're just gonna repeat. Alright, get the hell off this show, Mr. D.
Shut up,
I'm not
fool.
dealing with this.
Make
Alright,
me
get
mad.
out.
Don't give me no back talk, sucker.
No back talk?
Quit your jibber jabber.
Alright, that's it. Goodbye. Hang up on him. Oh, God. What is everyone's a train wreck nowadays? These old celebrities. Sorry about that, guys, but I have mixed feelings on how I feel for D. I mean, the guy. If this was me and my significant other, and him and his girlfriend, his tweaked out girlfriend, like like stole us with our car and took us hostage, and then this would have never. They wouldn't be in this situation at all if it wasn't for them. Like they were not heading here. They were going right to a hotel. I don't know. I don't know if I would have saved his life, but I don't know. The real me, the person, my soul and heart and shit. I probably would. I'd have to give it that, but definitely conflicted character. But I like that. It gives a lot of depth to his character, and I enjoy the hell out of his character in this movie. He's my favorite character in the movie, and I can't believe I can't remember his name, the actor, but God, he gives the best performance in the movie by far. And oh, that's right, I was remembering wrong. That he's not trying to get to their car. He's trying to get to because the engine overheated. I forgot all about that. He's trying to get to the cop car so he can use their radio. But now he's seeing his temperature starting to go up. It was at 90 point something. Now it's getting to 92 point something. This part works for me because there's a lot of suspense and tension built in this scene as you keep seeing the number of his temperature rising and rising a little more. And then the body spike zombie thing ends up jumping onto the top of the car and tries to attack him, and it's going up fast now. It's like 93.7, 93.9, like really effective and really well done how they handled this whole scene. And he's throwing firecrackers and stuff to try to buy him more time. He's shaking in the car set, and it's going, now it's 94, 94.4, like really cool. And then D comes out holding a firecracker, and that gets the body's attention, and he throws it just like he's trying to throw a frisbee for a dog to catch. And it goes, the dog it's running like an animal actually, but the spike zombie organism runs for the firecrackers. I don't know why I keep thinking flare, and it ends up getting inside the gas station. So now Polly and Dee are inside, and this thing is crashing into everything. Shelves are being knocked over. They're getting back in the freezer because they know it doesn't like the cold. Awesome stuff. Like, great sequence. Kind of an evil thought, but wouldn't it be hilarious if Seth was wrong about the cold and the thing just burst through the glass and just mutilated Polly and Dee? Just to see and then that would add more to this, him having severe CDS. He can't do shit. He doesn't even know something he should know in his through being biology, going for to be a biology professor or whatever, having a PhD. That would be hilarious. Like, this guy's a PhD he has in biology, and he could still be wrong about the cold, and it would be absolutely hilarious to see that thing break through the glass and just tear the two of them apart. And then, as Dee's dying on the floor, he could say to him, oh, "It's alright. It's alright that you got CDS. It's alright you got CDS." And then just dies. And he has to die knowing that his significant other and this guy D both died because he can't do shit even with his biology PhD. I'll write a spoof version. And D ends up doing the right thing. Like, he redeems himself in the end here. He dies. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, he dies. But he tells the two of them go and to run to the cop car and get the hell out of here. And he ends up taking the gun and runs outside and starts shooting at this crazy zombie creature, organism, mold, fungus dude. And then he ends up just saying, yeah, he dies. He ends up just saying, fuck it, like, I'm not making out of this. I just lost an arm. So he ends up shooting the gas tank, and it explodes and takes both of them with it. And he even goes as far, D, to, they come back and check on him, and he's still hanging on to life. And he ends up taking the dog tags around his neck and pulls him off, and he says, "Go to this bank in Platt and give everything to her." So I'm guessing he means Lacey's parent, like mom or something like that. because Lacey's dead, so it's not like they can give it to her. So I'm guessing it's the mother or relative of Lacey, or maybe it's his mother. Who knows? Something like that. But then he ends up dying. Then he shoots the main gas tank, and the whole gas station explodes, and he's incinerated. And I like how he says, like, "Here I come, baby," before he shoots. Like, that sucks. I mean, he redeems himself in this. I mean, depending on what his crimes were before the, if he like blew up a school, like an elementary school, then no, there's no redeeming that. Or like if he killed a bunch of people, but I don't think it was anything like that. He doesn't seem like a killer to me. Like he made the point of saying in earlier in the movie, he said, "I could have killed you too, I didn't." And every time that he had a gun in their face or like was threatening them with a gun, he never actually just pulled the trigger or anything. So I don't think it was anything crazy like murder or anything like that. So they end up walking because they didn't have the keys to the cop car. Their car is not working, and now everything's destroyed because it's all blown up. And they just walk down the road, and that's how it ends. So this was a great, fun rewatch, and I feel my headache getting a little better. It's fucking, at least it's tolerable now. But might do one more of these after this. I got an idea for another movie I want to see, but this was definitely a good watch. Like, I love Splinter. Such a good movie. Great effects, like great concept, great acting, and yeah, there's not much I don't love about this movie. And alright, so I think that's going to be it for this episode 2 of After Dark in the Sack with JT. And I want to thank my guest, Meatwad, unfortunately, Mr. T. And I want to also tell Neil deGrasse Tyson to fuck off for canceling, because I could have used his knowledge. But, alright, guys, wherever you're from, hoping you're having a good morning, afternoon, or night. And I will talk to you real soon. Have a good night, guys. Bye-bye now.